For the longest time now, the Washington Wizards have been in basketball purgatory, year after year, missing the playoffs, missing the play-in games, bottom of the East, and finally, after years of building, they are at a point where they actually don't just have a competent team. I actually think they have a pretty good, decent squad that can be scary very soon. Throughout the last 2 to 3 years already, they've been able to slowly build a very good and competent team, and now they are actually at a point where they're not going to compete for a championship or anything, but they are an actual very solid team that are not a pushover anymore. This has started in the draft. Within 2024, they were able to walk away with Alex Sarr at number 2. I believe the Hawks even then made a mistake drafting Risa Shea at number 1. I thought Alex Sarr was the best player in that class going into the draft, and the Wizards walking away with Alex Sarr at number 2 was a huge win. But even not just that, they walked away with Bub Carrington at number 14, and at 24 they picked Keyshawn George. Looking back on it, that was a great draft. 2023 draft, the year before, they were able to walk away with Bilal Coulibaly. Last year's draft, they were able to walk away with Trey Johnson and Will Riley, both of them very solid guys, very solid rookies last year. And they had just been able to build a very good set of young guys with Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, all those guys. And then last year, Trey Johnson, Will Riley, and then Bilal Coulibaly as well. And that finally built up to them to get the number 1 pick and get their future superstar, AJ Debonsa, in this past draft. And they have just been able to build in the draft very well, picked very good, and not even just obviously like AJ Debonsa number 1, but even late in the lottery, late in the first round, they've been able to find those gems like a Bub Carrington, like a Will Riley or something like that, who are just very solid pieces who you might just miss or look over deep in the first round. And they have built to a point in the draft and through free agency and through trades and everything where AJ Debonsa is coming into a team that's not just going to suck right away. He is going to get a chance to win instantly, which is just perfect team building. And not saying the Wizards front office is like some flawless front office or anything, but I really do think they have done a good job in the last couple years, especially when you compare it to other front offices of these like bottom of the barrel teams like the New Orleans Pelicans or the Brooklyn Nets or something like that. I think the Wizards have been one of the best front offices in the last couple years when you look at them compared to the bad teams in the West and East. With drafting, but also just outside the draft, they are able to get Trey Young in a trade where I believe they bought very low on Trey Young, only giving up Corey Kispert, CJ McCollum, and 0 draft picks. They were able to walk away with Trey Young and give up really nothing of crazy value, no disrespect to those 2 players, but they walked away with Trey Young, who is just a very good, when he's healthy, easy top 10 point guard in the league, most likely higher. And they got him for very cheap and was able to sign him under contract for 4 more years on a lot of money, but it is worth it when you look at these guys are going to be on rookie contracts for a long time. You can get away with paying Trey Young a good amount of money, and then once you got to pay AJ Debonsa or Alex Sarr or whatever, they can get that money because by then Trey Young will be at the tail end of his contract. You can maybe trade him or whatever. They were also able to get Anthony Davis for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, and some draft capital. And even then, that's more than they gave up for Trey Young, but that's still buying low again on a star. So they were able to get Anthony Davis and Trey Young for very cheap, and that's exactly what you want to do as a rebuilding small market team. You don't want to overpay for stars who are, I mean, Trey Young and Anthony Davis are good, but they're not like top of the tier. They're not the Shays, they're not the Jokic's or the Wembys of the league. So you don't want to overpay for guys like that. And they definitely did not. I think they really got them for very cheap. And the funny thing as well about the Anthony Davis trade is, like I said, they gave up Chris Middleton, who was the best player in that deal that the Wizards gave away. And just yesterday, I believe, or 2 days ago, whenever that was, they got a sign-in trade to get Chris Middleton back and signed him to a very cheap deal, 3 years, $17 million. So they got Chris Middleton back in the Anthony Davis deal, so they basically gave up only AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, and Marvin Bagley and some draft capital for Anthony Davis. That is even cheaper than what the trade was with Chris Middleton. So they got Chris Middleton back, And I really did love those two trades, the Anthony Davis and Trae Young trade. I do like them getting Chris Middleton back for cheap. And even the roster in totality is just filled with very solid guys like a Justin Champagnie, a Cam Whitmore, and even their backup big man who they just got, DeAndre Ayton, and they only have to give up Jaden Hardy and 2 second-rounders for him. DeAndre Ayton gets a lot of slack, especially when he was with the Lakers, the Suns, the Trailblazers. His whole NBA career, he's gotten a lot of slack because he was the number 1 overall pick. He was set to a high standard coming into the league. But at this point, we know who DeAndre Ayton is as a player, and if you accept him for who he is not a bad center if we're being realistic, and him as a backup big I think is a perfect role for him. He's not going to be good enough to start over Alex Sarr, I don't think. So him as a backup to those guys I think is a perfect role for them. So that starting 5 over in Washington is looking like Trae Young, Keyshawn George, AJ DeBonsa, Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, and it's just a perfect mix of young guys, veterans, playmaking with Trae Young, length and defensive rebounding with Keyshawn George, AJ DeBonsa, Anthony Davis, and Alex Sarr. Just multiple ways of attacking offensively with that versatility, with Trae Young, obviously, who's one of the best pick and roll players in the entire league, and his ability to score off of the pick and roll, the isolation, and whatever. And then obviously AJ DeBonsa's great offensive potential that he got drafted number 1 for. But then you also have, like, of course, Anthony Davis, who can score in the post, in the mid-range, down and below. Keyshawn George has some offensive ability. Alex Sarr is growing in that end. And then defensively, in Alex Sarr, Anthony Davis front court sounds very difficult to score against. Obviously, this team's not perfect defensively, but front court wise, on the starting 5, Alex Sarr and Anthony Davis, if they're both healthy, that is length, rim protection, paint protection, and just very solid versatility. And I just really like their fit together defensively and even offensively. I think they fit pretty well. I don't think they're going to get in the way of each other all that much. And defensively as well, this team will even reach another level if a guy like Keyshawn George can take that next step defensively, because obviously Trae Young has never been a good defender. His size, his weight, he has never been the greatest defenders in the league at all, or even close to it. So on the perimeter, you do need someone who can pick up that slack. And if Keyshawn George can take that next step that we all know he can take defensively with his length, with his height, with his speed and everything like that, I know for a fact he can be a very good defender in this league. AJ DeBonsa has the tools to be a great defender in this league as well. So I can only imagine what this team can bring defensively. Trae Young will always be a weak spot, but what he brings offensively when he's on the court, I think, is making up for what could be a defensive liability, especially when this team might have some good perimeter defenders on that starting 5 with Keyshawn George possibly and AJ DeBonsa. This team also has a very deep bench with guys like Bub Carrington, Will Riley, Chris Middleton, DeAndre Ayton, Bilal Coulibaly, Justin Champagnie, Trey Johnson, and Cam Whitmore. Now, those are, I think, what did I name, 8 players or 9 players or something like that? Not all those guys are going to come off the bench and see real playing time when this team is healthy. When there's injuries and stuff, of course, they'll get some playing time. But when this team is fully healthy, not all those guys are going to play. So the odd man out to me does seem like Cam Whitmore. I don't know if they want to move him or something like that. But it is a good problem to have as a team, to have too much talent on the bench, because you would much rather have that than the flip side of not having enough talent on the bench, obviously, and then having to decide what to do with that. So this team is very deep, has a very solid 5. They have bench scoring with Chris Middleton, Will Riley, Bub Carrington, and they have the backup big with DeAndre Ayton, who I think is going to be very solid in that role. As a starting center, I don't think so. As a backup, I do think he can flourish, and I think that might be a very good role for DeAndre Ayton if he can buy into that. They got solid shooters with guys like Trey Johnson, Justin Champagnie. I know he didn't have a great year shooting the ball last year, but the year before, I believe, he was near 36%. And Bub Carrington. And defensively off the bench, they have a guy like Bilal Coulibaly, a little bit of playmaking with Bub Carrington as well. I just like this team's build and how they formed their bench, how they formed their starting 5. It's not perfect. This is not like a perfect team. They're not going to be a top 4 seed out east. This team does not have enough defense off the bench, especially. Bilal is one of the only standout defenders off the bench. Not enough shooting, I don't think, either. And this team still, of course, is young. Now, that's not always a bad thing. Not all young teams just immediately suck in the league when they're together. They don't have to have 6 years of experience to be good. But when a team is young, there are growing pains. There are times where they do have to learn how to win. They're not going to be able to win first day of training camp. Besides Anthony Davis and Trae Young and Chris Middleton, a lot of these guys are like 22 and younger. So they do have a long way to go before they are more seasoned into this league, understand the league more, understand how the game is played, the pace of the game in the NBA. So they do have a little ways to go before they get there, but I don't think that that is that far away. This year, I do see this team fighting for that play-in spot, maybe making it into the playoffs, getting to that 7th seed, maybe even 6th seed, depending on how well AJ Debonsa comes out, how well a lot of these young guys developed in the offseason. I don't think they're going to be that good because the East really is so much better than it was last year with the Miami Heat getting Giannis, Halliburton coming back, just guys like that. But the Wizards are no slouch anymore, and I'm really happy for Wizards fans because they have been going through it in the last couple years. So I do see this team fighting for a play-in spot, and that is all you can ask for as a Wizards fan when they have been bottom of the barrel of the East for so long now. They just got to fight for that play-in spot. If they are fighting for it, I think that is a win going into next year, even if they might not even make it. But in my personal opinion, I do think they are a lock to make the play-in spot. I'm going to have a bold prediction right now. I do think the Wizards are going to make the play-in game. And another thing I missed is Brian Keefe. We have not seen Brian Keefe coach this team where they're actually trying to win. It has been, I think, since 2024 when he was hired, if I'm not mistaken, as the full-time head coach. Since then, they have been trying to lose, like straight up, not playing Trae Young last year so they can get the #1 pick, and just not been good enough to win enough games. This will be the first time we see Brian Keefe trying to actually coach a winning basketball team, and that's kind of sad when you think about it, but his tenure there has just been all losing, so we don't really know how good of a coach Brian Keefe really is from his tenure in Washington. So we'll finally see what he's made of. We'll see if he's able to coach a actual decent, good roster. And hopefully for his case, he is able to coach this roster very well. And if not, they probably will move off of him pretty quickly because I doubt they are trying to waste any time with AJ Debonsa as their future superstar. But we'll see this year. Brian Keefe is up for the task of coaching an actual winning team finally. So yeah, that does it from me. I just wanted to talk about the Washington Wizards and how much I have loved what they've done over the last 2 to 3 years, and all that's culminated to this moment where they actually do have a good roster. They have a future superstar in this league, not just for their team, but in this league with AJ Debonsa. They have a lot of young guys who have so much potential to be good in this league. They have the veteran presence of Chris Middleton, Trae Young, and Anthony Davis. And I just really do like what they did in this offseason, last season, and just the drafts before. I think they have drafted so well. So I'm very happy for Wizards fans as well, for them to actually look forward to watching basketball, not having to look forward to someone trying to score 83 points on them. So like I said before, I do think this team is going to make the play-in game, and I don't think this is a team you want to go against in the playoffs if you are one of those top seeds in the East. And I really do think what the Wizards have brewing in Washington is very scary for this league. And in the coming years, I think as soon as next year, they can be in the playoff lock in the top 6 seed if everything goes right. They have done it without attracting big time free agents, with them being a smaller market. They have not just gotten insane luck in the draft. They have actually drafted very well, getting players in the late first round, late part of the lottery. And of course they got Alex Sar #2, but even that was a weaker draft class to begin with and everyone knew it. But they finally got their superstar while basically building for their guy before he even got there, through the draft, through free agency, and through trades. Like, this was just picture perfect from the Wizards, and I cannot wait to see their future when they are competing in the playoffs and seeing AJ Debonsa become the superstar that we all see him being. So that does it from me. I wanted to talk about the Wizards really quick and show them some love and show that front office some love for what they have done over the last couple years. If you are a Wizards fan, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you guys like this video, hit the like button down below, subscribe button, notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.